Hey guys, welcome back to Tracie's Place. I am here with my macaroni and cheese video, so stay tuned for a good mouth-watering recipe. Over here on the stove we have a pot of water boiling, and it is a pot of seasoned water. I have salt in it with the olive oil, about a teaspoon of olive oil, so it's waiting for the elbow macaroni. The pot is about that big. I'm using some Kroger elbow macaroni. I'm just going to go ahead and add that in. This is a 1 pound packet. Trying to see if I want to add all of that. And I guess I will. Just going to go ahead and add the whole box. And you want to give it a stir so it can get coated with the olive oil. For this macaroni and cheese, we have some Italian style cheese. We have Colby Jack, we have Parmesan, sharp cheddar, and we have some sour cream. We have butter. For seasoning, we have Lowry seasoning salt. We have sea salt, pepper, onion powder, paprika, just a little bit of cayenne, and it's not even going to give a good kick or anything, y'all, because y'all know I do not like spice. And we have some evaporated milk. Here we have the processed cheese. I have a Kroger brand, but you can use Velveeta. So this is just a Kroger brand knockoff of Velveeta, but most Kroger products are A1. So I have about a little bit less than a half a block of the Velveeta, so it's not even a pound of this processed cheese. I have 3/4 of a cup of the Colby Jack. I have 3/4 cup of Italian style cheese, the shredded cheese, and I have 3/4 of a cup of sharp cheddar cheese. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that Parmesan in a little bit. Over here in a saucepan, this is about a 3-quart saucepan, we're going to add the evaporated milk. That was 1 can, and that is 12 ounces. And we're going to add the 2% milk, and I just added 1/4 cup of 2% milk. And this is on medium heat. We're going to add a half a stick of butter while this is heating up. I am not a stickler for every item being just so-so. I know people are on a budget. Some people just are barely getting a Thanksgiving dinner together. So if you have to use margarine, you can do so, but I would prefer butter, and this is butter. So we're going to stir that in there. Get that melted. Make sure the heat is not too high because you don't want your evaporated milk and milk mixture to scorch. To the milk and butter mixture, I added between 1/8 and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I added 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, also 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, barely 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne, and I am adding a half a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm going to stir that up. Remember that you're going to put this on low heat now. Since the milk has heated, I'm going to turn this down to low. Right now we're going to add a half a cup of sour cream. You all can use measured cups and things like that. I've been cooking so long I know how to eye it. So this is a half a cup. I'm doing a teaspoon at a time, but half a cup of sour cream. And you're going to stir that in. And at this point, you're going to go ahead and turn off the stove eye and go ahead and get that incorporated in. You can use a whisk. I'm about to use mine in a second. I just didn't get it out. I forgot to get it out. But you can whisk this in so the chunks come out easier. All right, you guys, the noodles are right at fork tender. They're not too tender. They're right at fork tender. You do not want these too soft. So you want to go ahead and drain them when they're barely fork tender. I'm going to drain them down. Okay, now y'all, what y'all seeing here, you might not see on a lot of other videos, but I butter and season my noodles. That's why I didn't add a whole bunch to the milk mixture. So here I added a half a stick of butter, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 to maybe about 1/4 to a half a teaspoon of paprika. I used onion powder, about 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and that's it. So you want to stir all of this in, get those noodles seasoned. Okay, so I had turned the eye off of this while I was tending to the elbow macaroni, but I put it back on low because we're going to add these cheeses and we need to get it melted. So right here we have the processed cheese product, like the Velveeta, it's the Kroger brand. We have the Colby Jack, the Italian blend, and y'all, the Italian blend has so many good things in it. I get that instead of the mozzarella, and I'll tell you what it has in it in a second. Also here I have the sharp shredded cheddar. So let's get this in the pot. We're gonna put them all in there. Get that all whisked up. Hope the shot is good. So I'm gonna let that melt a little bit more. I'm gonna stir it again in a second. All right, the mixture is melted pretty good. You do not have to have every lump and bump out of it. Just get it as, you know, creamy as you want or creamy as you can. And we're going to go on over here. I am going to put this in this pot. Excuse me, my pot is old, y'all, so it's a little scratched up. So we're going to go ahead and get this into this pot here. So as you all know, I did not make a roux out of flour. I don't think the flour is necessary. So just the cheese and the milk and seasonings and butter is good for me. And we're going to try to get all this out of here. Don't want to waste anything. So we're going to go ahead, and I should be using, let me get a bigger spoon. There we go. We're going to get this all smothered in that cheese. Yum, yum, yummy. Now at this point, if you want more cheese, you can add a little more. Everybody likes their consistency different. I do like a somewhat thick macaroni and cheese, like the Southern macaroni and cheese, but I don't like it like a stiff cake consistency, if you get what I mean. You know, I like a little bit of looseness, just a little bit. So you can add a little bit more of the variety of cheeses in there if you want. But this is pretty good here. Here is the 8x8 prepared dish that I have set aside, and it's pretty deep, so it's going to fit a lot. So we're going to see how much of our macaroni and cheese is actually going to get in here. You could use a bigger dish if you want, but this should fit just fine. This is a buttered dish and has a little bit of olive oil in it as well. All right, we're going to get this macaroni and cheese in here. Let me kind of pour it in here. And you don't want your macaroni and cheese to be dry. That's why I said eye it, taste it. You want it to be good and cheesy. So we're putting about a little less than half of the mixture in here. We're going to take this Parmesan cheese and put it in between. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You don't have to overdo it, but that will be enough. And we're going to put the next layer on. I'm going to spread it over the Parmesan cheese as much as you can. And you can do more layers than this. You could do 3 layers. But for me, this is enough. If you want a little bit more of the Parmesan taste in there, feel welcome to do 3 layers. Okay. All right, guys. So here are the 3 cheeses mixed up together. The Italian style, the Colby Jack, and the sharp shredded cheddar, and I'm just going to put it over the top. And do like a half a cup of each. And if you want it a little bit more cheesy, you can do that at this time. Put more cheese on it. Because that's what I'm going to do. Get those edges covered. Also, you guys, make sure you clean up your edges. You do not want the cheese sticking on the side, getting burnt. It's kind of not the prettiest presentation. Right on the top here, I'm going to dot this with butter. You could, if you want, even, melt the butter and pour it on. But this is just fine. Just going to dot the top. I'm going to get those quarters and all in between. And here is the butter. I'll dot it over the macaroni and cheese dish. I'm going to take a little bit of Lowry's, and I'm not even measuring anything. I'm just coloring this basically. Just add a little color on the top, just a little bit. And the paprika is going to make it pop even more. And there we go. Just add just a little bit of color. And just a tad bit of sprinkling of ground black pepper. Like I said, I don't like spice and heat, so I'm just putting very little bit. You probably can see I'm putting just a tad bit on. And I'm moving the thing fast, so I'm not getting a lot of pepper in one spot. So let me go ahead and clean these edges up from the seasoning and the cheese. All right, and we're going to get this into a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes, and I'm going to come back and show you the end process. When I say oh my goodness, I mean oh my goodness. Look at this, y'all. So I'm going to let this sit for about 10 minutes.